All right, calm down, calm down. Yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you. It's me. Hi, I'm Nick Luttrell, your host for, I don't know, the next 10 or 15 minutes here on Beat the Bookie. Whether I watched a video called Sports Betting for Dummies right before this, that doesn't matter. What matters is I'm here, I'm doing this, and I'm here to make you some money. Mom, thanks for watching, but you always taught me gambling was a sin. So Dad, this one is for you. Before my picks, let's take a look back at how we fared last week. Former Golf Channel intern Ethan Frank certainly lived up to the hype. The man we call Diesel around here went 4 of 6 on his bets, earning him a couple bucks above and Andrew Jackson. Shout out his biggest win though, Scotty Scheffler, to win by 3 or more shots. That bet hit at plus 700 and it helped him get into the green. Let's take a look at where that places Ethan on our semester standing, sitting in second place after a successful Masters weekend. Liam Griffin still at the top of our leaderboard. Look, I'm supposed to give you guys confidence. No shot I'm catching LG right now. I'm just going for the green. No negative is what we're looking for. You see Jesse, Braden, Annie, a lot of those other people have gotten into the green. Guys like Steven, Joe, Jack, yeah, not so much in the red. Okay, I've wasted enough of your time. It's time to get to the best bets of the weekend.
Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money! Show me the money!
All right, first up, we've got one right in the backyard of our CitrusTV studios. Number 6 Syracuse hosting number 4 Virginia. We're talking about lacrosse, by the way, I should mention. The Orange, as many might know, are just about as good as it gets historically in college lacrosse. The 11-time national champs have put together the best season thus far in the Gary Gate era. Vegas has this one set at plus 1.5 for Syracuse, and I'm taking that every day of the week. The Orange have played well at home recently, and I think having offensive coordinator Pat March back, that gives me full confidence to put $10 on the Qs. For big game number 2, we go to some Big Ten lacrosse. Probably the greatest rivalry in the sport. Number 3 Johns Hopkins and number 5 Maryland. And if there was any extra motivation that these teams needed, how about if you win, you'll be crowned champions of the Big Ten. And my pick is tough here. The line is minus 1.5 in favor of the Blue Jays, and this one just irks me because Hopkins has had 5 games this season decided by just 1 goal. In fact, 3 of those 5 have been losses, and for that reason, give me $10 on the Terps at plus 1.5. Look, I'm not saying Maryland is necessarily going to win. I just don't see a world where Johns Hopkins can win by 2 or more goals. For the final big game of the weekend, we're talking about what every kid from Arkansas dreams of talking about. Ivy League lacrosse. Number 17 Princeton hosts number 13 Penn, and look, I'll put the joking aside and truthfully say that this should be a must-watch game. On one side, the Quakers have had great performances from their goalkeeper Emmett Carroll, who's got a flawless 60% save rate this season. He was even named a Tewaaraton nominee the other day. On the other side, the Tigers, they've got a Tewaaraton nominee of their own. Calder Mackesy has been, as Ian Nicholas would say, elite this season with 27 goals, not to mention he scored 3 or more goals on 5 separate occasions. Princeton is the favorite in this one at minus 1.5, and I like the Tigers. They've got this game at home. They're still fighting for a spot in the Ivy League tournament, and maybe best of all, they've got Calder Mackesy. Give me another $10 this time for the favorites. All right, deep breaths now. Let's take a look at how my picks compare to our C-suite. Oh my goodness, got a great selfie of me up there. Wow, going back to the sophomore year days, probably from my Snapchat private story. I really wonder how that picture got out there, but hey, that doesn't matter. What matters is our comparison to the C-suite. Yes, we agree with Syracuse, that's good, but not much else beyond that. The C-suite has Johns Hopkins, and they've got Penn. I've got Maryland, and I've got Princeton. Well, you know, we'll see how it goes for this weekend. All right, I've still got $70 to spend, so you saw some of the biggest games of the week in college lacrosse. Let's go to college baseball now. For the first, we've got the SEC, because why not? A showdown in the top 5 between Tennessee and Kentucky. The Volunteers lead the conference in just about every offensive category that you can think of, and they got a star leading the way. Blake Burke boasts a .422 batting average for 10th in the nation and 2nd in the SEC. The Wildcats certainly have some offensive weapons of their own, but just not quite the same level. Despite being the road team, Tennessee is the favorite tonight with a line at minus 1.5. And I like the Vols in this one. Give me another $10 on what I think could be a deep postseason run under Tony Vitello. let's stay in the SEC for my second pick. Number 2 Arkansas on the road at number 20 South Carolina. If you know anything about me, you know it's a joy for me to talk about my Razorbacks at this station. So yes, I revealed my big secret. I'm a big Arkansas fan, and yes, that comes with a little bit of bias, but hey, allow me to explain. The Razorbacks have been college baseball's best team this season. Do they have the offense that a team like Tennessee has? Not really, but boy, do they have the pitching, and it starts with one guy in particular, Hagen Smith. Remember the name. He's currently sitting at a $1.53 in ERA, putting him 5th in the nation. Arkansas is big favorites heading into this game, game 1 of the 3-game series tonight in Columbia at -250, and a big reason is because of Hagen Smith. I like the Hogs, and I like them a lot. $10 won't be enough here. Give me 20 buckaroos on Smith and the Piggies to take down the Gamecocks. All right, we'll move to the ACC now. We've got number 8 Florida State at number 12 Wake Forest. The Seminoles are actually underdogs heading into tonight's matchup at +150. That reason, and for that reason alone, look no further, or the reason that they're underdogs is because of Wake's Chase Burns, the perfect game preseason pitcher of the year, has some elite stuff in his arsenal, is easily one of the best pitchers in the country, but sitting right at 3 earned runs a game. I'm not sure if he's fully lived up to the hype this year. And on the flip side, FSU not only has one of the top offenses in the ACC behind Cam Smith and James Tibbs III, but the Seminoles are also top 5 in the conference in pitching and fielding. And after all that, you're telling me that this one's +150 for FSU? That's easy money. I'm throwing $10 on the Seminoles as the underdogs to make you a big profit. For my final game, I'll go back to lacrosse between unranked North Carolina and number 1 Notre Dame. Vegas has the over-under of goals at 25.5, and I like the under here. The Tar Heels have a good squad, but have performed well below expectations this season. On the flip side, the Irish are more motivated than ever to claim back-to-back national titles. Not only are they motivated, but they've got the talent level too. In this game, I expect Notre Dame to score a lot of goals behind the likes of Jake Taylor and the Kavanaugh brothers, and North Carolina to score a very small amount of goals. Look, anytime you give me Liam Intamin in the net for the Irish, I like Notre Dame and I like the under. Give me $10 in this ACC matchup. For my future bet, we go back to my home state, and this is a tough one for me, I'll be honest. I'm a big baseball fan, so I'm pretty superstitious, but I'm also a pretty big Jesus fan, so I know best not to believe in silly superstitions. Nonetheless, I'm saying it. I'm picking this with full confidence. This one's for you, Dad. Woo! Pig! Suey! I'm calling the Hogs. I'm picking the Arkansas Razorbacks to win the 2024 College World Series. Look, Dave Van Horn has a complete team this season with Hagen Smith leading the charge on the mound, and the deepest lineup in the country. The team fans call the Omahogs will undoubtedly make it to the College World Series, and I think this is the year they finally get over the hump and win it all. Let's take a look at our other lovely hosts who have graced this show, where their futures are at in this one. All right, still a lot of work to be done. Tough look for Braden Reed and Jesse Cook losing their futures this past week. BU didn't even make it to the championship game in men's ice hockey. And then, Braden, the second biggest Philly fan I know, behind, of course, Chillicothe Adele. He's swinging a miss there. Flyers playoff berth that came up just short. Shout out Ben Spector, though, keeping our future bets in the green. So we've talked lacrosse, we've talked baseball. Now it's time to join those two together for my parlay. I may or may not have asked our executive producer, Jordan Leonard, if it was possible to combine both sports for a parlay, but hey, that doesn't matter. What matters is that this bet is hitting. For the first leg, we go back to Big Ten lacrosse. Ohio State at Michigan, and hey, maybe it's not the game, but still a big one for both teams to close out the regular season. Vegas has the Buckeyes at -1.5, and I'm all in for that. Nick Myers' squad is coming off back-to-back one-goal losses, but to good teams like Johns Hopkins and Maryland. I think the Buckeyes get it done at home tomorrow night. For the second leg of the parlay, we're sticking with Big Ten Lax. Number 10 Penn State is 4-point favorites tonight against unranked Rutgers, and I'm going with the Nittany Lions here. Look, the Scarlet Knights have a decent team that's showed some promise this season, but in the 5 games they've lost by 5 goals or more. Give me Penn State and a no-doubter. We finish up the final leg of my parlay going back to college baseball for TCU and Texas. The Longhorns are coming off a midweek game that was maybe their most embarrassing loss in program history to UT Rio Grande Valley. It wasn't just like a close loss. Yeah, we'll get them next time. Texas got manhandled 17-9. So I don't even care about how good this TCU team is. I've got the Horned Frogs with the money line of +100. So again, the Ohio State to cover at home against Michigan, Penn State to cover against Rutgers, and then in baseball, TCU to get the win over Texas. That's a recap of my parlay. Let's take a look at my recap of all of my picks. So for our big games in the college lacrosse world, I've got Syracuse at +1.5 at home over Virginia. I like those odds also for Maryland at +1.5 over Hopkins. As I said earlier, I expect that to be a very close game. Then I've got Princeton to cover the spread against Penn. Tennessee to also cover the spread against Kentucky. $20 on the Arkansas money line over South Carolina. Florida State to pull the upset, quote unquote upset, over Wake Forest and lacrosse. I like the under between a terrific Notre Dame squad and a mediocre UNC team. My future bet, of course, in baseball, Arkansas to win it all. And then my parlay of Ohio State to cover the 1.5 spread against Michigan. Penn State to also cover on the road against Rutgers. And in baseball, TCU money line over an inconsistent Texas squad. So that's it. Those are my picks. Thanks to our executive producer, Jordan Leonard, for answering every stupid question I had about betting this week. Our associate producer, Arnav Pokrel, for some killer graphics. And of course, our sports director, Adam Coing, for being here since 4 a.m., I'm pretty sure. And thank you, the viewer at home, for tuning in. Whether it's baseball or lacrosse, please remember to bet legally, bet responsibly, and of course, enjoy this weekend's games.